Hello everybody, welcome back to another video on the channel of Mr. Footballer Loons, and today I'm doing Game Week 14 predictions of the Premier League. And we're going to be starting off on the 2nd of December. It is Brentford at the GTEC Stadium facing Luton Town. And history was made at Kenworth Road as Luton Town won their first home game in the Premier League, beating Crystal Palace 2-1. And what a game it was for the goalkeeper Kaminsky for Luton Town. What a fantastic game. If it wasn't for him, it probably would have been a draw or a loss. The amount of saves he made, it was a very solid game, Kaminsky, and overall a solid season so far. On the other hand, Brentford lost 1-0 against Arsenal, and the previous game lost 3-0 against Liverpool. Against Arsenal, you know what, they stuck in the game. They fought hard. They kept the game very tight for a lot of the game. You know, it was unlucky, a late minute goal from Arsenal. And overall, before the two losses against Liverpool and Arsenal, as they are very hard teams those, they did win 3 games in a row before all that. So overall, I feel like Brentford still have a lot of quality despite losing their last 2 games. And at home, with the quality we've seen from them, how well run they are, how they work well with a team, no matter who's playing on that pitch, I feel like they're going to win this, but I could definitely see a 1-1 draw. We've seen Brentford draw loads of times in the past last season and at the start of this season, but overall I am going to go for the home side just. Brentford to win this 2-1. And moving on to the next game, it's at the Emirates Stadium. It is Arsenal versus Wolverhampton Wanderers, and Wolves in the last game lost 3-2 against Fulham. And you know what? Bellegarde did fantastic to assist Cunha. I was wrong about Cunha. He got himself a great header, a great move by Bellegarde, and Hwang Hee-chan scored again. It was from a penalty kick. But overall, I don't think that's going to be enough against Arsenal. They only just about got it over the line. I feel like this will be a tight result because Arsenal do have a lot of tight games. They keep their games this season quite tight together, and Wolves might have a chance, but I doubt it. But they have been doing pretty well against the high-class teams like Aston Villa and Manchester United, and a few more. They have been doing pretty well in terms of performances. I feel like they will get the goal because they have been scoring a lot like Hwang Hee-chan and Cunha. But there is no Pedro Neto. And overall, I feel like Arsenal will win this 2-1. Moving on to the next game, it is Burnley at Turf Moor facing Sheffield United. Now, Sheffield United lost it 3-0 against AFC Bournemouth. I mean, it was a crucial game at home against Bournemouth, who have also been struggling. They lose 3-0 against. It's not good enough. They got 4 points in the last 2 games before facing AFC Bournemouth. And in my opinion, those 4 points they picked up, it wasn't convincing enough. They have not had a good start to the season whatsoever. Neither has Burnley. But in my opinion, Burnley have performed better in their individual games. Last game, they faced West Ham United, Burnley, and they lost it 2-1. But it was only at the latter stages of the game. They were so close for 3 points. But the latter stage of the game, they lost it 2-1, which is very unlucky. And Koleosho, he's the energy of Burnley at the moment in the attack. He's the energy, trying to win penalties left, right and centre, dribbling around players, pushing the whole Burnley squad up the pitch. But they did lose against West Ham. Overall, it's very promising signs. They played very well against West Ham. So I'm going to have to go for a Burnley win. I think overall, they are a better team than Sheffield United. They've got the home advantage, and a win has to be coming. So I'm going 2-1 win for the home side, Burnley. Moving on to the next game, it's at the City Ground. It's Nottingham Forest versus Everton. And Nottingham Forest in their last game, they lost it 3-2 against Brighton and Hove Albion. And you know what? They've shown some good signs. They've shown some very good signs. Morgan Gibbs-White running down that right wing, delivering balls into the box, left, right and centre. Very, very nice. Elanga got himself another goal for Nottingham Forest. But they still lost it against Brighton. But Brighton are a hard team. They are a very hard team. At the City Ground again, facing Everton, who lost their previous game 3-0 against Manchester United. And Everton have been deducted 10 points. And in the previous couple of seasons, Everton haven't been looking good in form. Overall, it's not looking good for Everton. Especially that they're away at the City Ground, which usually at the City Ground, Nottingham Forest tend to do very, very well. And Everton in the last game, you look at the stats and you would think Everton should win that. But no, they lost it 3-0. They had 24 shots to Manchester United's 9 shots. Again, their problem is scoring. And in this game, I feel like they will score more against Nottingham Forest. But Nottingham Forest are at home, so I feel like this will tend to be a draw. I feel like it'll come even Stevens at the final whistle. It's going to be a 2-2 draw. A very close game. Moving on to the next game, it is Newcastle United at St James's Park facing Manchester United. And well, Newcastle, huge injury problems. massive injury problems. I think around 13 are injured, so that is a problem for Newcastle. But the last game they won at 4-1 against Chelsea. Even playing 3 goalkeepers on the bench. 3 youth academy players making their debut in the Premier League. Lewis Miley getting an assist, making his 2nd ever Premier League start. Despite that, they still managed to win at 4-1 because they still got Alexander Isak, Kieran Trippier. Fantastic yet again. A fantastic squad they still have. And Manchester United, can I quickly say, Garnacho is goal of game week 13. What a crazy bicycle kick. Now, in my lifetime, that is the best bicycle kick I've ever seen. A great goal by Garnacho. Fantastic. Goal of game week 13. Let's stop talking about Garnacho. Let's talk about this game. Overall, Manchester United, it did seem a bit more convincing in the result. But overall, they were not dominant in that game. They did not have it under control. So I feel like in this game, it could definitely be a draw. But Newcastle in the last couple of games against Manchester United have won both of them. So I'm going to go for a Newcastle win at home with home advantage. I'm going for a 2-0 Newcastle United win. Might be biased, but I don't care. Moving on to the next game, it's a whole new day. 3rd of December, it's Chelsea at Stamford Bridge facing Brighton out of Albion. And Chelsea, like I said, lost 4-1 against Newcastle United. Yes, they did have 10 men, which means Reece James will not be appearing in this game. And overall, Chelsea didn't play fantastic against Newcastle whatsoever. There were some promising signs where they were playing some good tiki-taka football like Barcelona. But other than that, they weren't fantastic. You look at the defensive errors from Thiago Silva. What are you doing there, buddy? Just gifting Joe Linton a goal, which I don't mind as a Newcastle fan. But it's the inconsistency of Chelsea. There's definitely an improvement from last season under Pochettino, but you cannot have this inconsistency. And facing Brighton, which is suffering from a few injuries. I believe Ansu Fati came off injured in the last game, and they've still got a few other injuries on top of that. But even Ferguson, gotta say, that was a great finish. Just the way, you know, overall, all season, all his goals, it's been calm, cool, collective. He's been very, very calm at a very young age in the Premier League. It's fantastic. Brighton get themselves a much-needed win in that game after they didn't get a win for 6 games till they won that game. And I feel like overall, this looks like a draw. It's got a draw written all over it, in my opinion. It honestly is. Cannot split the sides. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw. Moving on to the next game, it's at Anfield and Liverpool face Fulham. And in this game, I feel like the favourites are Liverpool. You know, even Fulham winning 3-2 against Wolverhampton Wanderers, I don't think it's enough to convince me to say they're going to get anything against Liverpool. Liverpool managed to get a point against Manchester City, which is fantastic. Absolutely superb. They're home here, they're facing Fulham. Yes, they got a win, but overall, I'm just going to have to go for Liverpool. As simple as at Anfield, Liverpool are a different Liverpool. They're fantastic. So I'm going for a 3-1 victory to the home side Liverpool. Moving on to the next game, it's West Ham United at the mighty London Stadium facing Crystal Palace. And well, Crystal Palace, like I said, lost 2-1 to Luton Town, and they did have a lot of good opportunities. And can I say, the goal that was scored by Michael Olise, I would have put as game week 13. He managed to flick around the player, flick the ball around the player, cut inside, and it was a fantastic goal. World class. Elise is back, scoring bangers like that. It would have been goal of game week 13 if Garnacho didn't score that fantastic goal. But I believe they do have some injury problems of themselves. I believe Eze could miss their next game against West Ham United. Could. I'm unsure on how serious the injury is, but he could miss the game, which is concerning. Decore also went off injured, which is one of their starting 11 players, and their form isn't particularly amazing. They did play pretty well against Luton Town, but they did not get a result. And facing West Ham, who managed to get a 2-1 victory against Burnley, it was late on, but Kudus is playing fantastic. James Ward-Prowse, the set-piece specialist on the board, and plus home advantage, and Crystal Palace are looking a bit down with possibly a couple of injuries on top of that, and the home advantage for West Ham. You know where this is going. I'm going to go for a West Ham win, and I'm going 3-1 to West Ham United. Moving on to the next game, it's at the Vitality Stadium. It's AFC Bournemouth versus Aston Villa, and Aston Villa are looking immaculate. You know, their home record we've talked about all the time, it's fantastic. Their away record isn't as good as the home record, but now after a 2-1 away win against Spurs, it was very, very good. Ollie Watkins, that clean finish for the second goal. It was fantastic by Aston Villa. And they're facing FC Bournemouth, which are on decent form. They're starting to pick up some points, starting to pick up some wins, which is much needed. Like a win against Newcastle United 2-0. Like a thrashing against Sheffield. I can't say Semenyo looks fantastic. His ball control and footwork is immaculate. absolutely superb. Promising by Bournemouth, plus they're at home here, but I feel like Aston Villa are too good. Aston Villa are way too good. I feel like they're going to keep this up in this game, despite Bournemouth also doing well. I just feel like Aston Villa are too good facing Bournemouth, so I'm going for a 3-1 away win to Aston Villa. Moving on to the next game, it is Manchester City at the Etihad facing Tottenham Hotspur. Possibly one of the biggest games of the game week. That and the Newcastle versus Man United game. But Man City got a 1-1 draw against Liverpool. It was quite a close game at the end of it. They're at the Etihad facing Tottenham with a lot of injuries. James Maddison injured. Now Bentancur is injured as well on top of it, adding more injuries to the pile. Ange Postecoglou is a very good manager, but I feel like with all these injuries, plus facing Man City away from home, and Man City hasn't won in the last 2 games, Man City are scheduled to win, and it's gonna be in this game, so I'm going for a 2-1 home win to Manchester City. And how did I do last week in Game Week 13? I did manage to get one correct result right, and that was Brentford versus Arsenal. I predicted correct. I did predict other games right, but I didn't get the exact scoreline correct. So that puts me on 7 points out of 20 points in Game Week 13, which is better than the previous 2 weeks. And overall, I'm sitting on 85 points out of 260 points. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. Hopefully you can like and subscribe. And always remember to turn on those notifications to miss one of my fantastic YouTube videos. I'll see you next time. Toodle pip now.